Fellas, Belgium has acknowledged the suffering they've done to these 5 ladies and they're gonna get paid. Yeah. Okay, so we are in Belgium. These 5 ladies, 5 mixed race women have taken Belgium to court because of something really drastic that had happened to them many years ago. So basically, these kids are mixed race of an African mother and a Belgian father. And this goes up to 1960s when the Belgians were in Africa and they colonized African nations such as Congo, Rwanda and Burundi. And what happened was these Belgian soldiers liked the African ladies very much, even though they pretended not to like the African men, but the ladies, the behind. sorry, this is a serious matter. So many African women were impregnated, okay? They got pregnant, sometimes by force. I'm sure some were curious, like, oh, that's a white man. What? Come on. But many were taken by force. And after doing so, babies were born. After the babies were born, the Belgian government chose to take those babies away from their mothers by force and send them to Belgium, where they're going to be put into religious institution. And obviously, imagine a woman that was taken by force, impregnated, and then they see their baby taken away from them by force. Very painful. So these women decided to lay charges against the government, hoping to have an apology, and not just an apology, also have a, you know how it goes. So initially it was refused. So these are mixed race. They are called métis. Okay, I know in America when you're born of a father that's black and a white mother, you're black. No, in the rest of Africa, no. People still hang on to the other side. They say, oh, I'm off black, off white. They don't say I'm black. Like Obama, you say Obama's black. No, Obama's not black. Obama's mother's white. I don't know how did you delete the white side of him? You just decided, oh no, he's got a black father and a white mother. Let's just delete the white side of him. He's black. No, he's not black. He's off. So in Africa and these French countries, they call them métis, mixed race. A Brussels appeal court ruled on Monday that Belgian state committed a crime against humanity in a case of 5 mixed-race women who were taken away from their mothers in infancy. The 5 women fought a legal battle for over 6 years to make Belgium recognize responsibility for the suffering of thousands of mixed-race children. The children were snatched away from their families and placed in religious institutions and homes by Belgian authority that ruled Congo since 1908 to 1960. Okay, fellas, let me give you context. Many years ago, there was this guy named King Leopold. This guy here, King Leopold. Now, he said, okay, I want to go to Africa and get some land. Okay, let me go to Africa and I'm going to get some land. And he got this land here. You can see on the map, this is the Congo. In 1800, he took this land for himself, not for Belgium. For himself, was a private property. So Congo used to be a private property of the king of the Belgians. Now, in that moment, something very interesting was happening in the world. It was the revolution of cars. The world started seeing its first cars produced. And whoever says cars also means tires. You need tires for your cars. And what is the main component of tires? Rubber. Where do you get rubber? In a forest. Which forest? In the Congo. So the king of the Belgians went to Congo, gotten Congolese people beat up, cranked down into working by force, getting rubber from the forest. So the Congolese people, these African people that were living very happily in the African land, chasing antelopes and climbing trees, eating bananas for free. All of a sudden, they found themselves with white people around them, telling them you need to get rubber every single day by force. So they had a quota of rubber they had to meet every single day. If you don't get enough rubber, initially they will take your wife away from you and keep her. That's what they did to get the workers motivated to bring enough rubber. That continued for a while. But the king said, no, we need more drastic measures to get these Africans to work harder. Now, what happened? The next thing was, if you come from the forest after working the whole day and you don't bring enough rubber for the king, what happens? They will take you and chop your hand by force. Yes, fellas, that's exactly what happened. You don't bring enough rubber, they will chop your hand and show it to the boss. And that will frighten all other Africans, getting them to work harder than they could. I mean, it's easy to say we're taking your wife for a day. She's going to be back. But you can't say the same for your hand. It's gone forever. Fact of the matter is, today in Belgium, they make chocolate with the hand of Congolese. Yes, Those chocolates are very popular in Belgium and Holland amongst the people that colonize, or the descendants of the people that colonize people in the Congo. That is just a piece of what's happening in the Congo. Now, I have many questions about this. I know it's very sad that a white man can leave Europe, come to Africa and claim land, say this is my land now. Where he found habitants, people living, villages, happy in their forest. And you come in the name of capitalism and revolution of cars, industrialization, you want to force them to go get rubber. And if you don't bring enough rubber, you chop their hand. There were millions of people with no hand. Now, what's hurt my heart is what? The guards were not white. Yes, the chiefs and the boss and the commanders were white, but the executants were not white. They were Africans. So Africans were recruited to work in the army of the Belgians. Yes. And whenever they ask somebody to execute or chop somebody's hand, guess who they called? An African man. So it's an African man that chopped the hand of other African men in the name of the Belgians. Now my question is this one. Who's bad? Who's evil? Is it the king of Belgium or the African who willingly, not willingly, maybe forcefully, has to chop the hand of his brother for the foreigner? I mean, was there no option to say, I'm not chopping this person's hand, he's my brother? I mean, Muhammad Ali refused to go to war in Vietnam. I mean, some people may say he was just scared, he's going to be... But he said, I'm not going to war in Vietnam because these Viet Congers don't mean nothing wrong. They don't call me names, you call me names. Was it difficult for these Africans to say, I'm not going to chop my brother's hand? I understand, fellas, I know. The Belgian king did absolutely wrong. What he did was unacceptable. You cannot do that. And I'm sorry. Today when you talk about the most evil people in the world, they mention the guy in Germany very much. They mention Mussolini, but they never mention the king of Belgium, who unalived millions of people in Africa because of greed. But also the other hand, I think we should not forget what Africans executed on the bodies of other Africans. I mean, those Africans were the executors. Couldn't they make a rebellious, whatever, something? Okay, were they scared? I don't know. Will a European chop another European's hand against the will of a Europeans to satisfy another race? I don't know. You let me know how you feel. So the bottom line is these 5 women were part of, those women that were born out of those situations. Some of them are 70 years old. Others are 80 years old. That's what happened. So their fathers took their mothers, whether it's by force or any other way, we don't know. But I can imagine it was probably by force because, whether you think it's not by force, how do you express yourself? How do you reject the Belgian military? That's, you're just a girl. And they ask the government to react to that. Now the government is say, okay, we acknowledge that. We've been running away from a long time, trying not to take responsibility. But in 2019, the Belgian government apologized for the state's role in taking thousands of babies from their African mothers. For the first time in history, the reigning king expressed regret for violence carried out by the former colonial power.
Au nom du clan fédéral belge, je présente mes excuses aux métis.
I apologise to mixed-race people with roots in Belgian colonisation and to their families for the injustice and suffering they went through. I also wish to express all our compassion for the African mothers whose children were torn away from them.
Dont les enfants ont été arrachés.
So they're going to be offered also some money. Guess how much is it? 50,000 euros. By each head. We're not talking about all the people. 50,000 euros per lady. Okay, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. Okay, the trauma, the being taken away to a different land, different place, in a religious institution. We all know what happens in these places. As a child, away from your mother, the pain, the psychological hurt. They give you 50,000 euros. I mean, how do you compare that with what they did for the American Indians? They were compensated appropriately. How do you compare that with the people in Germany? They were compensated appropriately. Even the slave masters, when they say slavery is over in Britain, you need to release the slaves, they ask to be compensated for loss.
James Blair, a Scottish-Irish MP, owned 1,598 slaves in British Guyana. When slavery was abolished in 1833, he was awarded £83,000 350 in compensation. a sum worth £65 million today. In total, the British government paid out today's equivalent of £16.5 billion to compensate some 3,000 families that own slaves.
And the government of Great Britain paid them money every single time from tax money. Yes. And this only ended like 4 years ago. That's when they finished the debts they owed to the slave masters from your tax money. I'm going to talk about tax next later in the next edition. But yeah, there's a lot of thoughts, a lot of questions. Who was wrong? The King of Belgium for leaving his country and coming to some land and taking people and forcing them into the most horrendous situation? Who was wrong? The brothers in Africa who were chopping the hand of other brothers, whether it's forced or not. Like, will you not just say, okay, kill me, I'm not going to chop my brother's hand? I don't know. People think differently. Countries that pays 50,000 euros to ladies that's gone through so much. God bless.